The next speaker is Sister Bernadette, Dere Nulenpaala, and she talks about safeguarding across cultures, indigenous accountability systems, transparency and compliance. Sister.
Thank you very much, and good morning to everyone. I would first like to acknowledge the committee that has selected my topic to present this morning. And in doing so, I also want to acknowledge my Superior General who is here. She has been the moderator of this conference from Tuesday until yesterday, and she's here at the moment. Sister, thank you for giving me the opportunity to do safeguarding course, and today this is where it has brought me. One commitment, many contexts, safeguarding across cultures. Safeguarding across cultures with emphasis on transparency, accountability, compliance in the Ghanaian context among the Dagaaba people in Ghana. And also, permit me to ask you to remember these gentlemen who have also been very supportive in my ministry, but God, as He does His things, called them just this year, one in January and the other one in February, and they are resting peacefully with the Almighty God. But I still want to honor them for their contributions to safeguarding, especially concerning the Dagaaba culture, trying to understand our culture and see how we can apply safeguarding in the context of the culture. I would like you to look and see the exact point where, or location of Ghana where these Dagaaba people are residing. That is the regions of Ghana, and then in the other side, that is just the location of the Dagaabas. And this map of the Dagaabas also, though it is predominantly the Dagaabas, it is also with other cultural languages. The Sisala and the Wala are almost the same. And to get into a contact with the culture of the people, you need to also see how they live, as culture is what the belief systems and the way of life of the people. These are contacts the elders of the Dagaabas going for a Dere, and this is a festival that is also portraying our culture. Safeguarding has become a global priority across sectors, including education, governance, and community development. At its core, safeguarding encompasses measures designed to protect vulnerable individuals from abuse, neglect, and exploitation, while promoting their well-being. However, the application of safeguarding is not culturally neutral, as we have already heard in the previous presentations. In Ghana, safeguarding is shaped by formal legal systems and informal cultural institutions. Among the Dagaaba people, social organizations, kinship systems, and cultural practices provide an indigenous framework for protection and accountability. This presentation examines how safeguarding principles are interpreted through this dual system. In doing so, trying to compare with other or international principles, I like to cite Jerome and Lee and then Stark Hook and others in their writing of safeguarding in early childhood education and care, with their definition and how this can be applied into the context going back or the beginnings of how safeguarding can be inculcated in the Dagaaba context. This connects global safeguarding principles to local context. So why culture matters in safeguarding? Culture shapes, as I said, it is the belief system the acts and the behavior of the people. So culture exists with authority, communication, discipline, gender relations, and conflict resolution. And in this context or these areas, how will safeguarding be implemented or carried out in the Dagaaba context? So leadership will have to come in, and the way it will be communicated to the people, disciplinary actions as far as the protection of the vulnerable children are concerned, and the gender issues. So effective safeguarding must understand cultural customs, engage community structures, challenge harmful practices respectfully. So this is a community dialogue with the leaders trying to understand what safeguarding is. And as far as culture is concerned, here we talk about the women empowerment, and through this women participation in safeguarding, it's also bring to home how women can really also be part of the safeguarding. So the Dagaaba cultural context, who are the Dagaabas or the Dagao? Indigenous people of northwestern Ghana and southern Burkina Faso, who the Dagaabas are associated because we are sharing borders. Strong communal and family-centered society, that is the Dagaabas, organized around clans, elders, and traditional custodians systems. Respect for elders and communal harmony is highly valued. So cultural strength for safeguarding, how the Dagaaba could adapt their system to be able to implement safeguarding. So strong kinship support system, communal responsibility, respect for life, human relationships, moral formation through family and elders. So the three fundamental principles of safeguarding: transparency, accountability, and compliance. These principles create trust, protection, and justice within communities and institutions. And this is done through community meetings, community gatherings, as we are seeing in the pictures, how this can, transparency and accountability and compliance can be carried out. And also with the Ghanaian leadership. Transparency in safeguarding, openness in decisions and processes, honest communication, clear reporting system, accessible safeguarding policies. In the Dagaaba context, transparency can be strengthened through community dialogue, involvement of elders and families, clear communication in the local language, that is Dagare, education on rights and responsibilities. Risks of safeguarding in the Dagaaba context can be excessive secrecy, can hide abuses. Transparency means openness and honesty in the way institutions and communities handle safeguarding matters. In the Ghanaian and Dagaaba context, respect for elders and family reputation can sometimes make people afraid to speak about abuse. Therefore, safeguarding requires creating safe spaces where concerns can be reported without fear or shame. Information about safeguarding policies and reporting procedures should be clear and accessible. So practical, clear safeguarding policies, reporting, and education through the community dialogue. So example, using churches, schools, chiefs and women and youth leaders to communicate the safeguarding issues, accountability, taking responsibility for actions. Leaders answer for misconduct or negligence. Everyone has a duty to protect the other. Traditional Dagaaba society values communal responsibility and counsels of others. So safeguarding implication, respect for authority must not prevent reporting abuse. So key principle, no person is above safeguarding standards. Accountability is taking responsibility for actions, ensuring that misconduct is addressed fairly and promptly. Safeguarding is not only the responsibility of leaders, it is the responsibility of the whole community. In the Dagaaba culture, communal responsibility is already a strong value. This cultural strength can help communities protect children and vulnerable adults more effectively when everyone sees safeguarding as a shared duty. Building a culture of accountability, leadership training, regular safeguarding reviews, listening to victims and survivors, clear consequences for misconduct. So important cultural safety, respect should not mean silence. Community-based accountability, families, elders, and churches and institutions must continue to work together. Compliance, following safeguarding laws, policies, and ethical standards, ensuring institutions act consistently. In Ghana, compliance includes the child protection laws, church safeguarding policies, institutions reporting procedures, and professional ethics. Traditional conflict resolution may sometimes avoid formal reporting. Respect culture while ensuring justice and protection. Compliance is following safeguarding laws, policies, and ethical standards consistently. Institutions must ensure regular safeguarding training, proper reporting system, and adherence to the codes of conduct. While respecting culture, harmful practices, or silence surrounding abuse should not override the dignity, safety of vulnerable persons. Strengthening training, written policies, documentation is an issue. The Dagaaba culture is more of an oral, traditional culture, so writing or documenting is still an issue, and this has to be looked at or strengthened. And monitoring system, collaboration with legal authorities, and the goal is to move from solely informal protection to incorporated structured safeguarding. So legal context in the Ghanaian, as I mentioned already, there are legal documents, but again, how are they implemented? And then vis-a-vis the cultural system, with this symbol of the stool, the three-legged stool, to enhance also culturally, the stool is a symbol of what authority, community, stability, and good governance. So culturally sensitive approach, effective safeguarding, again here, respect local identity, values, community wisdom, like yesterday Sister Jose was talking about, or use a lot of proverbs in the same way to be able to let the understanding of safeguarding resonate with the people. Protect values, vulnerable persons, promotes dignity and justice. So traditional communal values can support collective care, shared responsibility, protection of children and vulnerable persons. So positivity or the positive values, communal care can, in child bringing and the extended family, respect for elders and authority of elders, again, just emphasizing on what it is. So the oral tradition and consensus decision-making, nonetheless, needs to balance tradition with formal system. So the culture of silence, silence on sensitive issues, fear of shame or stigma, overprotection of authority figures. Authority may limit reporting abuses, power imbalances, and also informal settlements of abuse cases. To conclude, theologically or ethical foundation, in the Dagaaba or the Ghanaian context, the human person or human dignity is valued, protection of what the vulnerable is, and this symbol that you are seeing is a symbol that tells us or shows that the good things of the culture, we should go back for them and then use it to enhance what? Safeguarding. So recommendations, culturally adapted safeguarding education using local language and symbols, continuous safeguarding education, engage traditional and religious leaders, promote reporting without fear through child-friendly and community-based mechanisms, translate safeguarding materials into local languages, and strengthen collaboration between culture and law through training and encourage youth and women participation. Thank you. And safeguarding, as it is, does not imply one method. Among the Dagaaba, safeguarding is not enforced primarily through system, but through relationships, tradition, and collective responsibility, making transparency, accountability, and compliance culturally embedded rather than externally imposed. Safeguarding becomes stronger when cultural respect does not silence justice and protection. Transparency builds on trust, accountability sustains trust, and compliance protects trust. Together, they create a culture of safeguarding. Culture should strengthen protection, never weakens it. Thank you so much.